Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's late night Q&A with ZodWriter. This is episode 43, and with me, I have the pleasure of having a friend of mine that I don't get a chance to talk to a whole lot, but I'm glad that he could be here tonight and we could talk Mr. Resident Justice, better known as RJ in the movie fandom community, whatever you want to. RJ, what would you consider? What would you call yourself, man? I mean,
Yeah.
you're in all kinds of communities, just like I am. We're in a whole
Mm,
bunch of different fandoms. It's not just one type of fandom. I mean, me specifically, I'm also in the home arcade community. I'm in a lot of different. I'm all over the place, and I see you as the same kind of person where you're in a whole bunch of different communities and stuff.
mm.
So what would you say, man? What would be the best way to classify you, because we're not no
Yeah.
single fandom. So what do you think?
No, not single fandoms at all. I mean, I'm kind of just all over the place. I mean, much like yourself, I'm kind of like, you know, it's pretty much everything. I mean, the comic book stuff, just movies in general, video game stuff. I mean, I kind of fluctuate a lot, from between a multitude of things. It's like one of the great things I think about just the way I approach stuff. I think is that because I am so invested in like a variety of stuff. I keep my portfolio varied. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I'm with you, man, and it's great to be in all sorts of different fandoms. One of the things that that happens is you get a lot of drama. And I've noticed you get a lot of drama in certain fandoms, and then you have other fandoms where you have absolutely no drama whatsoever, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have certain things where you just embrace it all and enjoy being a fan of everything. So I don't know, man. I think we've been pretty lucky, over since like last year and this year as fans of all this stuff. We've all had a ton of stuff come out that we could be excited about and that we're looking forward to. And personally, I just think it's a great time just to be a fan of everything, because you have so much coming out. So like if you're in a camp where you're irritated or upset with a specific group or a specific company, or what somebody is doing, you don't like what they're doing, there's always something else on the other side. Like I've been in the camp where I've been kind of, in the past, like last year and stuff, I was critical of Warner Brothers, and I kind of got out of it. I don't even talk about Warner Brothers anymore. I don't even discuss things that I'm really irritated about. I don't even talk
Mm.
about anymore, because I'm at the point where there's so much stuff that I am excited about and that I can look forward to.
Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of been the position I've looked at it as well, because the thing is, there is so much out there besides just
Yeah.
one specific thing that you try your best to be optimistic and you hope for the best when it comes to stuff that you really like, and sometimes that's good, sometimes that won't be. Um, for me, I've never just put all my eggs in one basket. I've always just tried to be open minded about a lot of things, for better or for worse. But when it comes to all this stuff, I mean, last year was fun because last year was when I actually first started getting involved in the community. Last year was when I went from a viewer to an actual content creator myself, which was interesting because for the longest time I was like, do I want to do it? And I did for like back in like 2018, I did have a YouTube channel where I talked more so about anime stuff, but I
Okay.
just stopped doing it. And then like I don't know what happened, just 2021, I just started watching stuff, and then I was like, you know what? Call-ins, That's how I met Max and Jarbo, right? And then it just kind of like they liked what I said. It's just like, hey, you want to come on actual panels? I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
that's how we met. I think you and I were on a panel together, and I
Yeah, I
think
think it
that's
was
how
Max's
we.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been Max's. As a matter of fact, I'm almost positive it was one of Max's streams. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, Max is, I give a lot of credit to Max for this because without him, I mean, he met me through Jarbo because he was on a panel with Jarbo and they both were doing call-ins and I was one of them. And but he saw I subbed him that same night and I was in the chat. He's like, "Hey, you want to come on?" I'm like, okay. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. It's like I don't even know this guy really. It's like he just wants to give me a link. But that's the kind of guy Max is, because he always is interested in those
Right,
conversations, you
Max
know?
is always open for collaborations and stuff, which is something I really appreciated. Like he tries really hard to bring people together and tries to facilitate a lot of dialogues on a lot of different topics, and that's really a cool thing to have. And I'm grateful to him for that too, because like you, there's a lot of people that I wouldn't know in this particular sphere if it wasn't for Max. So I agree with you there. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's just it's been an interesting journey the last year. I think yeah, the last few months have been very tumultuous,
Hmm.
but I think that this year has been a lot more positive. I think because, I think people are trying to do what they're trying to branch out a little bit, trying to like move out of one sector of things they've been attached to, trying to expand what they do on their channels, trying to expand the way they look at things. I think that's beneficial to everybody thus
Hmm.
far.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I feel like you won't ever grow as a content creator if you're stifled and stuck talking about one specific thing. There's always and there's people that say, well, when you want to build, for example, if you want to build your YouTube channel, the way to get the most attention through the algorithm and to move forward is to be about one thing and to be consistently about that one thing all the time, because that way YouTube knows what you're about, and then that's how you get the views, that's how you get the clicks, that's how you get the subs. But for me, I've never been like that. In my real life, I'm not
yeah,
like that. I
it's
want to be
impossible to be like
you
that.
you want to be you want to be a well balanced. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's specific people that always talk about the same thing, that always talk about Amico, that always talk about arcade one-ups, that always talk about whatever, and they get the views because they're a channel devoted to that, and I can completely understand that. But my problem is when you're a well-rounded person and you have a lot of things that you love talking about, you have a lot of passions and things that you're really into, it's hard to do that. And I don't feel like there should be a problem with branching out into other communities and accepting the fact that you love different things, because I could sit here and have conversations with you all night about stuff that you and I may disagree with, but
Mm,
at the end of the day, it's kind of like for me, it's always been about finding common ground with people that you otherwise might not agree with on certain things. So like if I'm not so it's like if I'm not excited about DC and I'm not looking forward to the current crop of DC films, and you are, that's something we can argue about, but then
mm.
we can talk about, but then at the same time you can say, well, that most recent Spider-Man movie was awesome. And
Yeah.
that's something that
Well,
we could
that's the
both
whole
agree with. You know what
that's
I
why,
mean? Like
yeah, no,
that's
and
just
that's
a
why you go to YouTube, right? I
yeah,
mean, that's the thing. I love having conversations with people who disagree, right?
yeah,
I mean, when it comes to the DC stuff, it's been tough.
yeah.
Because I've been open about this. Like, I didn't really get on board really until I was excited for the Snyder cut. I really, really was. I was like, this actually looks really interesting. But I was open about this. Like, I wasn't like I didn't get Zack Snyder movies, like
Okay,
his DC stuff. I mean, like
okay.
I loved Watchmen. Watchmen's one of my favorite movies of all time. I adore that movie. I think it's a masterpiece. I think he took a comic that nobody thought could ever be adapted and made it something truly special.
Oh yeah.
It is
Hmm.
the great thing is it's the comic, but it's also trying to just be a great film, which I think is something that people miss a lot. Because you have diehard Watchmen fans who are like, well, they didn't have the tentacle monster. They didn't do this, they didn't do that. It's like, yeah, but you know what? It was still a great movie.
I
Like,
love that topic. I'm glad you brought up Watchmen, because
mm,
I was just reading the other day. I had done some research into this back when when Zack Snyder's Watchmen first came out. And I remember it came out around my birthday, and I was sick, and I had a very bad cold that day. But my fiance and I at the time had gone to see Watchmen together, and I
mm,
just remember walking out of the theater feeling like, my God, this is a masterpiece. This is one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen in my life.
And
This is
then they
incredible.
dropped the longer cuts, and it was an even better movie.
It was an even better movie.
Yeah.
And I honestly felt like, this is, and what a lot of people don't understand, and you brought up a lot of great points. What a lot of people don't get about Watchmen is initially Alan Moore was on board with there being a Watchmen movie, because back in the 80s, they were actually going to adapt that comic shortly after it came out. They were
I'm sure they were. Yeah.
They were going to do a movie, and Terry Gilliam was on board to direct Watchmen. And what ended up happening was his script was going to put the Watchmen characters in modern society. It was going to literally be like like a modern take on it. And Alan Moore was on board with it. And the funny part is, this was a script that Alan Moore himself was on board with, and there was no squid in that movie either. That movie ended a different way. It wasn't like how Zack Snyder made it about, had Dr. Manhattan at the end. No, it was supposed to be, it was some kind of different thing where the comedian was supposed to go back in time or something. It was supposed to be really weird. And this was the version that Alan Moore was actually on board with. So when I think about that, and I'm like, and I look at the way people have dumped on, Zack Snyder's Watchmen, but it's got.
Which I would never understand. I would never understand how people can't, like, listen, is it the comic? Not 100%, but it never was.
It's pretty damn close.
I mean,
it's pretty damn close.
Yeah,
it's pretty damn close. I mean, honestly, if Zack Snyder wanted to today, he could go into that movie and he could add the squid, and everybody that's crapping on the movie to this day would change their tune. They'd be like, "Oh, it's a masterpiece now," because it's almost shot for shot the comic book. If you don't take into account the ending.
Yeah.
And David Gibbons even did a drawing of the ending with Zack Snyder's ending with Dr. Manhattan and all that for the book. It's like available in one of the Watchmen art books that came out shortly after the film was released. But yes, I to this day I think the movie is a masterpiece, and I never understood why anybody had any issues of it from a movie standpoint. I mean, I don't expect the movie to be exactly the comic. And that's where I get into a lot of my issues with a lot of these movies. If you're looking at these movies from the perspective of a comic book reader, it's a lot harder to look at these movies, because the majority of them, the majority of the movies that are released these days are not comic book accurate. And they're never going to be, because the idea is to make something that is cinematically viable. And that's a lot different from, a story that you can tell through a comic book.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, and just going back to the Zack Snyder, I mean, for me, Watchmen, I really enjoyed. I saw Man of Steel actually the same day I attended a comic book convention. It was in the South Point Casino in Las Vegas, inside that convention hall. And there's a movie theater right inside. I'm like, went to the comic book convention, bought some DC stuff, went to go see Man of Steel the same day, and that was fun. I had a great time with that movie. I really enjoyed it. But I got to admit, when I saw Batman versus Superman, the theatrical version, I went to the midnight showing of that. I was super, 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 super excited for that movie. And the theatrical version really let me down. I wasn't a big fan of it. And it kind of just bummed me out a lot, personally. And the Ultimate Edition, I bought that the moment it came out, and I thought it was a massive improvement. There's some aspects of that movie that I still think could have been better, but I think it is a better movie, and it's a shame that was the version that got released.
Yeah,
it really is.
How do you? And that's the thing I'll never understand about a studio. How do you actually cut out scenes from a movie that actually show Batman being a detective?
Well,
how do you actually cut out scenes of a movie where you actually have scenes of Clark Kent being a reporter. You
Mm.
have literal scenes in the movie that establish how certain things come together and make sense from a narrative perspective. So yeah, the theatrical cut was all over the place. It was a
Mm.
hatchet job.
Well, here's
There's
my
even
thing too. It's like,
scenes that were changed.
and
Yeah.
I get cutting out, like, let's say they said, okay, we don't want to make this a 3 hour movie, whatever reason. Fine, you cut out footage and you're gonna like release the director's cut on Blu-ray. I can deal with that. My thing is, you cut out 30 minutes of plot that literally explains the plot of the movie and the twist in terms of like the lady who lied about the bodies. You cut out like a majority of Clark Kent's development scenes. It's like you cut out the scene explaining why the bomb went off and he didn't see it. Like that's critical stuff for the film to work as a narrative,
Yeah.
and you cut that out.
Yep. Agreed.
It's ridiculous. Like I would never understand. I would love to have been a fly on the wall in the editing room where they're like, "Yep, this is the stuff we cut out." Like, why?
Yeah,
Why?
they would fail. They would fail film school 101. I'm telling you right now, because there's certain things that you just, from a plot perspective, it's essential and you cannot cut it out. And you see that in so many movies. And this is why I almost always, there are some exceptions, but I almost always prefer director's cuts to the theatrical versions of films.
Mm.
Almost always.
Great example was Blade Runner, one of my favorite movies of all time. The Blade Runner theatrical cut pales in comparison to the director's cut and the international cut, in my opinion.
Yeah. The for me, my actual favorite cut of Blade Runner is the final cut that Ridley Scott released not too long ago. It's fantastic and it's much better. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, like I didn't hate BVS or anything. I wasn't like, oh my god, this movie's horrible. Like I was just left confounded by it because I still enjoyed aspects of it. I mean, come on, it's Batman Superman to me for the first time.
Right.
Obviously, there's going to be some emotion with that. Plus Wonder Woman on the big screen for the first time. I just wasn't a big fan of Lex Luthor. I wasn't a fan of like how that entire like just again the messy plot. The theatrical edition did fix that. All right. And then I saw Studio Squad in August, and I was so hyped for that movie, Zod. I was so excited. The trailers were amazing. You go back to 2016, man, or even before that at Comic-Con, those trailers blew up the world. Like the set photos.
Yeah, they were
huge.
fantastic.
Like,
the movie looked like a masterpiece. It really did.
Oh no, it looked great. It looked great. It looked dark. It looked twisted. It looked funny. Then like what was it, like 2 weeks before the movie dropped in theaters, they dropped an article saying, oh yeah, there's a controversy in the editing bay and the trailer house company took over the movie. It's like, what? And they're open about that too. It's like, yeah, we had the trailer house take it over because the movie didn't feel like the Bohemian Rhapsody trailer. It didn't feel that high energy, so we're redoing the whole thing. It's like, what? It's like, and then you watch the movie and I really did not like that movie.
That movie felt like a trailer company took it over. Mm-hmm. It really did. It really felt that.
There's cool visuals. There's cool moments.
Because it's like a trailer. They got to cut it like a trailer.
Yeah, they cut it like a trailer.
You're gonna have all these awesome visuals, but you're gonna be left feeling empty afterwards, and that's what you get. There's a reason why trailers are only a few minutes long. Because a trailer, the idea is not to show too much, because once you start to show too much, it gets gratuitous, and people are like, well, why should I even bother to go watch the movie now?
Yeah. And then Wonder Woman came out. I liked that movie. Third act was a little choppy, but then it's because Patty Jenkins didn't want to do that third act. She's like, okay, you want me to do a big fight? I guess I'll do it. And it's kind of like just whatever. Then I saw Justice League in 2017. And I told the story before, but that movie like broke my heart. That movie just left me so brokenhearted. I was just like, I watched that movie dumbfounded by what I was seeing because it was truly so horrible. Because I knew the moment I watched, I'm like, this is not a good movie. It's just a bad movie. It's just a really, really bad movie. And I walked away. When I left the theater, I'm like, I think I'm done with DC. Like I was so like that movie broke my heart so much. It was like a bad breakup.
I remember how I felt. I felt the same way when I left the theater too. Yeah.
Because it was just like, you only get one time. You only get one chance to do a Justice League movie for the first time. and that was your first attempt.
Yeah.
That's what makes it even worse. It's like you only get one time to do a movie like that for the first time, the first ever Justice League movie in cinematic history, and you butcher it that bad. It's like it was heartbreaking. So I mean, and I remember like in the release that in the time after that, what made it so funny was there's this murmurs of a Snyder cut, right? And I remember at the time, it's like everyone was making fun of it. Like nobody thought it was serious. Everyone's like, Snyder cut, Snyder cut, Snyder cut. Because I used to watch. I don't know if you watched like movie talk channels back then. I used to be a big fan of like AMC Movie Talk and Collider at the time.
Oh yeah, they didn't help. They didn't help when it came to
they
the
literally
Snyder
said
cut
multiple
at
times
all.
like it doesn't exist. If it's not on the Blu-ray, the special features, it's not real. And then then 2020 happens. It's like the whole world just ends at a standstill because of the pandemic. It's like, oh yeah, the Snyder Cut's coming. It's like, what? I was like, what? Because I didn't follow that stuff. I knew there were murmurs on like Vero and stuff. I didn't even know what Vero was. Like I was like, and I've been transparent. I was so out of the loop.
Yeah.
And then it's like it's like, wait, what? There's a Man of Steel watch part? Wait, Henry Cavill. Oh, HBO Max? What the hell is that? It's like, okay. And then it's like, it kind of changed everything at that moment, when you finally get to watch it. I mean, it was 4 hours of brilliant filmmaking in my mind. It's like I said, it's not like no movie's perfect, but I mean, that movie is like, it's a night and day comparison. They're not even remotely similar movies.
No, not at all.
It's like, they're just like, they're so intrinsically different in their execution, what they're trying to be. It's just mind blowing the difference that editing can make. When you edit stuff in, put stuff back in there, change the way scenes are colored and just executed. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is a night and day comparison, and I wanted to ask you, man, like, what were some of your inspirations for deciding to actually do your own YouTube channel? I know you talked a little bit about how you started out, you jumped on some people's panels and stuff, but what made you decide to want to become a content creator yourself?
No, it's a great question. I think it was just simply because I found out about the resources available. At the time I was interested in doing that stuff, I didn't even know something like StreamYard existed. I didn't know there was like this service that you could literally just live stream and record videos on the internet. Like, because back in the day, what I would do is I would just record videos on my iPhone. Like I would just like do screen recording or do voice recording, then use iMovie editing. And I hated it. I'll be honest. I still don't like editing. I still don't like video production. I prefer the streamer method where you just record.
That's how I am too. I like live streaming. That's what I do. I don't like to edit. I don't like to make videos offline and upload. I'm not really into that. I'm a big fan of going online and talking, having an audience. I think that's awesome. To me, that's the best way.
And for me, I mean, I was just watching stuff and I was just like, I think I could do this, and I just tried it. I was like, the Snyder Cut was coming out. I'm like, perfect time to start a channel because everyone's talking about the movie.
Yeah.
Let me kind of like get in on this. And I think I started my channel like the week before it came out or something. But that was kind of just like where it all started. It was just like, I thought I could do something. It was something I wanted to do for a while again to pick it back up. And I just kind of ran with it. I think my motivation ultimately just came down to the fact that I thought that I had a voice and I wanted some kind of outlet to talk about stuff I liked. Because often that's why we do what we do on YouTube, especially in this space we all occupy. We all have thoughts on stuff and we want to articulate the way we feel about stuff on a platform where we can be accepted by others. So I think that's where it comes into, where it's like you can be yourself in many ways that you can't be anywhere else. Like it's almost like a comfort thing.
Yes.
It's almost like a hobby and something that you can like really enjoy and have fun doing, It's like a nice distraction from everything else.
That's why you see me on the red couch all the time, because this is where I'm most comfortable. So I feel like I'm in a comfort zone. I'm in a comfortable space so I can have a conversation and talk to you about anything.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I just sit at my desk or like my bed. I'll just be in my bed, just like sitting
You'll
up and
be
just.
in your bed streaming. I've never done
I
that
do.
before.
I do. No, I just sit up in my bed and I just like chill out, Yeah, I stream anywhere. I'll stream anywhere, just the way the setup goes. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's I started my channel back in shoot. The first yeah, it was March 15th. I started my channel on March 15th. So we're
of
almost at the 1 year anniversary.
of last year.
Last year, yeah, last year.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, my channel existed before then,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but like
mine too. My
yeah.
channel existed for a while, and I had just gotten into streaming over the last couple of years. I started doing YouTube content in 2020, and before that, I was doing it on internet radio, and I was doing internet radio up until 2020, and then I started doing content fully on YouTube. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an experience and it's an adjustment, getting on camera and doing, and doing streams and stuff. And but once you get used to it and once you're acclimated and you know what your topics are going to be and stuff, it's a lot of fun and it helps you
Mm.
to cultivate that voice that you have, and it's wonderful. We've
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, the other funny thing is too, and this is just the funny thing about all. I was about 2 weeks into my YouTube career, as you could put, my YouTube hobby, and there was a controversy about the Indiana Jones movie because they cast Phoebe
Oh
Waller-Bridge,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I had a bunch of you guys on. I was like, "This is so stupid! Like, why is everyone calling this movie woke?" And then you have like people in the fandom that just watched it. I'm like, I only have like 300, like 200 subs. Like, how do people? It has like 3K views. It's like what, you
That's
know?
great. You know what? I'm glad you said that because this brings me to Marcus Cruz's comment here. I had it saved and I didn't go past. I didn't go past it because I didn't want to skip this. I wanted to
Mm.
point this out and bring this to your attention. Marcus Cruz says, Zod, they are calling the Lord of the Rings series woke now. And I'm gonna say right off the bat, before I defer to you on this, RJ,
Mm.
I don't understand where they're getting this stuff from because personally, Lord of the Rings, from what we know and from what has been established, is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to this new series. We know next to nothing really about this new series and the direction that they're going to go with it. So I don't understand where all of this stuff comes from, where all of these terms come from when you look at new things that are not even out yet. So you can go ahead. What's your take on the Lord of the Rings series being woke?
Oh, I think it's really dumb. It's
Yeah.
really stupid. I mean, here's the thing, right? It's basically all just because they're casting non-white actors, and I'm like, at least for me, in my opinion, like again, because we'll talk about this when we do Raya stream later tonight. But
Yeah.
like my exposure to Lord of the Rings is limited. I will admit that I'm more of a movie guy and a video game person. That's how I got into Lord of the Rings. I have dabbled in the books a little bit. Um, Actually, the funny thing is, the first Lord of the Rings book I tried to read, The Similarian. What a weird place to
Oh
start,
wow.
but
Yeah, I was just gonna
yeah,
say that's a
yeah,
strange place to begin.
because I thought it was the first book. I didn't know any better because I was just a kid. I'm like, oh, this is the prequel. You start here, I guess, But I was like, this is so confusing. I was like, what is going on? But no, so my knowledge is limited. But even then, like for me at least, actors of color playing characters in Tolkien's world does not break immersion for me. I don't think that's woke to like cast like a black actress as a dwarf or something. I don't care. Just tell me a good story. That's all I care about. Just tell me a good story with great writing and great characters. That's all that ever should matter to people.
That's right. That's right. When you're telling a good story, you should have no problem, whatever the story calls for, as long as it's compelling and you get people interested in your narrative. The story, that's all that matters. I'm excited because I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. I did read the books growing up, and I absolutely, of course, adore the Peter Jackson films, and I'm looking forward to this series because I really feel like it's going to be a nice expansion of stuff we already know. And a lot
Mm.
of people don't realize that Peter Jackson is on board with this as a consultant. So having
Yeah.
Peter Jackson on board means that you're not going to get you're not going to get no BS. I don't know.
No, you definitely won't. I mean that's the thing too. It's just like I don't know, man. I don't know. I think a lot of what's going on with that, I think it's just a lot of people trying to co-opt something that people they're trying to like create controversy where there is none.
Yeah.
Ultimately, is where I think about it. It's just like they're looking for reasons to hate on it before it even comes out because it's just like that's what they need to do. And I don't think ill of anybody is I don't think ill of anyone as people or anything like that. They got to do what's best for their channels and what they want to do. It's just the lines are blurred between what they actually believe and what's best for business. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and I think one of the key elements, at least for me, when it comes to any of this stuff, is try to stay open minded because you never know. It's easy to jump to conclusions. If I were to count all the times, and it's funny, and I know it's kind of cliche, but I can say this 100%. If I had $1 for every time I thought I was going to dislike or hate something based on what I heard about it ahead of time, and then turned around and actually ended up enjoying it, I'd probably be a rich man over the course of
Yeah,
my
no, I mean,
life
and
because it's
yeah,
ridiculous.
that's in my position as well. People laugh at it, but I always try to be the optimist when it comes to stuff, even when I shouldn't be. There's only one exception to that really. I mean, the only thing I'm like not optimistic for whatsoever, honestly, is the Flash movie for a multitude of
I'm
reasons.
mainly, and
But
I'm with you on that, but like my main reason is because we really don't know anything. There's really nothing that
yeah,
we've.
there's nothing to gauge
It's,
with thus far. Yeah, I mean that's the I don't like what I'm hearing, the rumors at least. Just me speaking personally. Could be a great movie. I hope for the best. I mean, I
right,
like
right.
the
It's
people
like,
involved, but
but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not going to watch the movie
oh
because
no,
that
I'm gonna
would
watch it. I have to.
that
Yeah.
would be a flat out lie. And this is why I don't understand, when people say things like, I'm not going to watch it, I'm not going to see it, I'm going to boycott it. Listen, I understand that. I get that. But listen, guys, in order for a boycott to work, you literally have to do it in the millions. And to be honest with you, it also has to be
Yeah.
something where it's coordinated to a point where when you say you're boycotting, like for example, the hashtag boycott WB, when you say you're boycotting something, you can't just boycott superhero movies. You can't just not go
Mm.
watch the Batman or not go watch the Flash. You have to
Oh, it's more than
literally
that though. I
cut
mean,
off WB
as a whole.
entirely. So
Yeah.
anything,
And
I mean,
that's a lot
anything
of
you
stuff. That's
watch,
also TV
yeah,
shows and other networks.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was gonna say. TV shows, movies,
Video games.
music, video games, anything. Because a lot of you guys out there, you love all these properties and you don't realize
How much they
WB
actually own.
owns a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. WB owns a lot of companies. WB owns a lot of everything. So you're really, there's even hot sauce companies out there that WB owns. This is real talk. I'm serious. You guys have to understand that when you do boycott WB, it has to mean something. It has to be
Mm.
huge. It
Has to be
can't just be,
coordinated. It has to be specific. It has to be
yeah,
very specific. I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't. Here's the thing. I may not agree with the philosophy of boycotting necessarily, but I
Mm-hmm.
do support that people have a right to vote with their wallets and
They have a
choose what they
right.
want to
They
spend their
do.
money on. They
And I
do.
agree. I agree.
It's
But
just ultimately, I don't know how successful some of that's going to be.
yeah, no, you
You
can't.
know,
It's literally got to be in the millions. You've got to be in order for it to hurt them. Because I'm gonna
Mm.
be honest with you, so even if like say 350,000 fans decided we're not gonna go see the Batman because we're not supporting WB, that's not
Mm.
gonna mean anything. Because the general audience is still gonna go see this movie. Most people are still gonna go see this movie. The only time you're going to get any kind of pushback or to where it actually matters is if you can garner like support that you need heavy support for a boycott to work.
Yeah.
Boycotts can work, but they just got to be way more coordinated than having a movement. And that's just real talk. I mean, I'm not trying to discourage anybody. And like I agree with you, RJ, that people should vote with their wallets. But I'm the type of person where I've refrained from talking any more trash about anything that I have not seen. If I haven't seen it, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Like I got to a point where, people kept asking me about Peacemaker, and everybody knows how I feel about James Gunn. And people kept asking me about Peacemaker. So I finally got to the point where I just simply said on one of my streams, I don't remember which one, but I said, don't ask me about Peacemaker anymore, because I'm not going to watch Peacemaker. And if I don't watch Peacemaker, I have no right to comment on it because I don't know anything about it. So that's how I
that's
choose
your right.
to leave it.
As a consumer, as a viewer, you have the right to choose what you want to watch, what you're interested in. If you're not interested in that show, you shouldn't force yourself to watch it.
And that's the thing I don't. And that's the thing I don't. And that's the other thing I don't understand. It's like I've gotten to the point too where I've realized, particularly in this year, RJ, I've realized in 2022 that the best thing you can do if you don't support something is, number one, you don't talk about it. If you don't support it, don't talk about it. Don't give it
because
attention.
They don't care. Because
don't
that's
attack
engagement.
it
that's
because they don't care.
Yeah, it's
positive or negative. You're giving engagement to something that you don't. If you don't care about it and you don't like it and you don't care to be involved with it, just don't talk about it. And that's how I've come to. That's what I've come to realize. Because in 2021, I did a lot of streams where I talked a lot about how much I didn't like James Gunn, and I talked a lot about different things that I didn't like. And I learned a lot from those streams and realized, hey, all you're doing is bringing out the haters, and all you're doing is perpetuating and essentially promoting something that you don't like, because positive or negative, it's going to get traction, and all you're doing is helping the algorithm continue to promote stuff by James Gunn, stuff by people you don't like. So just simply don't talk about it anymore, and you won't be contributing to that issue. So that's what I learned, and that's where that's how I'm going to continue to be moving forward. And as far as like, for example, The Flash, I haven't seen it, so I can't really talk about it. Same with the Batman. Haven't seen it, so I can't talk about it, but I will see it so that I can form an opinion, so that I can talk, so that I can say, this was good or this was trash, because I'm going to be honest one way or the other. If I don't like something, I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. And that's my opinion, but I'm not going to crap on you. If you like it, that's you. That's your opinion. I don't care.
It's just the wrong way to go about things in life.
Right. I agree. So I'm pretty much, so that's where I am. And Film Goblin says, remember that Eli Hollywood God guy who called himself the Watchman Preacher? Oh, don't I remember Eli? Absolutely. I have
seems like some heavy lore.
I have a history with Eli. I know all about him. The Watchman Preacher. Yeah, there was a lot there. You could do a Google search of the Watchman Preacher and find out everything you want to know about that guy. We got Skywalker the Jedi saying Zod is a wealth of knowledge. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We got a lot of little things going on here. So, RJ, what are you most excited for coming out in 2022?
You already mentioned it, actually, when we were talking about stuff. For me, it's the Batman, which is surprising because you have some other great movies come out. I mean, Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness, really looking forward to that. Top Gun Maverick, looking forward to that one. That one should be exciting. For me, it is the Batman. I think that since that movie, it's gone through a lot of revisions. It's changed a lot since it was initially first.
Does that worry you though, that it's gone through all those changes, or are you still fairly confident that?
No, for me, and I've been consistent about this. I mean, since like I said, I didn't know what to make of this movie, but the very first teaser trailer at DC Fandom, the very first DC Fandom, I was just blown away. I think that mixing again, Batman with elements of like Seven, Zodiac, and just like I love it when they treat the source material with such reverence, such seriousness. To me, it looks like the encapsulation of some of the modern Batman comic books brought to life. Um, would I've liked to have seen it be a Ben Affleck Batman movie? Yes, I think that can still coexist too. It's something I'm still interested in. Obviously, I want to see something to that effect. But for me, it looks like a dream Batman movie. It looks like a Batman movie I've always wanted to see in the last because you think about, man, it's been 10 years since we got another Batman movie. It's been 10 years since a solo Batman movie, since The Dark Knight Rises. It's been a long time waiting for something, So for me, like I said, it looks like a great encapsulation of what I like in modern Batman comic books. I like what Matt Reeves is doing. I like, with each interview he does, the way he describes his thought process behind the way he's crafting this. I like it, and I give Warner Brothers at least the props in this so far. They're not messing with them. He almost walked away until he basically got what he wanted, and they're just like, okay, that's them doing what he wanted. I wish that would have applied to other people. Don't get me wrong. I wish they would have been more consistent with that other people. But at least in this case, I'm glad they're letting a director do what he wants to do.
I got to give Matt Reeves credit for that at the very least, that he fought for what he wanted and basically told WB, if you don't let me do my thing, I'm walking. So I give him credit for that, because he did leave one time for creative differences, and that's
he did. He basically, there was some conflict, and he walked away. But they wanted him. He talked about this actually. They said, we want to make this movie, and we will wait for you. So he's like, okay. So he went to go do the third Planet of the Apes movie. He's like, okay, I'm back. And he had different ideas. Like, okay. I mean, they basically let him do whatever.
Speaking of Planet of the Apes, did you hear that there's a fourth one that is in development now that Disney's taken over, and they're going to allegedly, from what I read, it's actually going to be like a reimagined version of the original 1968 Planet of the Apes movie, where
really
the human beings actually land on Caesar's Earth. It's going to actually be a continuation where they actually land on Earth, and it actually is going to be Planet of the Apes, like the 1968 film. I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be. I think that's going to be very awesome. I think that's something.
It's why they told Caesar's story. So he's
see,
it's at the
that's
foundation
the thing
for the world.
Yeah, that's a great foundation, and that's what I'm saying. Like people are saying. I was reading on some of the message boards. People are complaining, "Oh, that's going to ruin a perfect trilogy." Da da da. And it's like, what people don't realize is Planet of the Apes is a big story. Remember when they did the original Planet of the Apes? They had a bunch of movies. They had told a bunch of films. So this is going to be something that's going to actually continue on and actually tell the story post Caesar in a world where the apes are, of course, the dominant species. So I think that's going to be interesting. I'm actually looking forward to it. I hope they do it justice, and I hope it goes well. And Film Goblin says here, funny how these guys praise the Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings movies for doing different things from the book, but when Zack Snyder changed one thing in a graphic novel, people go nuts. Yeah, it is. It's funny to me because, again, all the stuff, love Watchmen or hate Watchmen. One criticism that you cannot level at Zack Snyder is that he didn't do the book justice. You may not have liked his ending that he changed, but he did the book justice. You can read the book along with watching the movie, and especially the Ultimate Edition where they put Tales from the Black Freighter is even in that movie. I mean, how much more faithful to the source material do you want it to be?
Yeah, no, I
mean, my God, it's crazy. Andrew Casali says, imagine a Batman No Way Home style movie with Pattinson, Bale, Keaton, and Affleck. We might be getting that. We might be getting that in the Flash.
I'll be honest though, I do not want that. I don't want that. Like, listen, I loved No Way Home, but I don't want other studios to try and copy that movie. Like, don't do that. I mean, they're kind of doing that with Flash anyway, in the sense of it is reuniting.
Well, and
two
they all
different
and to be
Batmans,
fair,
but
they all copy each other. So it's
yeah,
I mean we're just it's just a matter. It's just basically a matter. It's like a rat race for who does it first.
yeah.
You know, when you think about it. Man of Steel is a masterpiece. I agree. Darkness Under the Wind says that would be incredible for, especially for me, Andrew. So some people would like to see that. Would like to see a Batman style No Way Home kind of a thing. I don't know. I
I'm
don't
sure
know if I
some
really
people
want to see
do,
that
but
either. I
yeah,
think that's why I'm a little bit worried too, because I'm a little worried about where Michael Keaton falls into all of this and how they're going to do
yeah. I mean,
how they're going to
that's
reconcile it. That's weird.
well, see, and that's the thing, and this is something I wanted to bring up too. Look at the difference in the way they're marketing and talking about these movies, right? What do you notice? Obviously, we're a month away from the release of the Batman, so it's going to get a lot more focus. But look at it this way: they are so confident in that movie. They're screening it right now for critics a month early. They're doing a fan event premiere 3 days before the movie actually opens.
Little Caesars has a Batman calzone. That's
Yeah,
how
and they're
confident
pushing
they
that
are.
hard. Yeah, and they're pushing it that hard too. I mean, that's the thing though. The Flash, it's like they're trying to hide the movie.
Like it doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
yeah.
Don't look at this over here. Look at that over there, please.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm not sure what it is. It's like a different marketing department and like a different studio made this Batman movie. Like it's not Warner Brothers. It's weird because it's
it is Warner Brothers. This is what you get when Warner Brothers puts their full weight and attention behind something.
they actually put care into it. Yeah,
this is what the Snyder Cut essentially should have been. They should have put that kind of marketing behind the Snyder Cut, because it would have did gangbusters in theaters during the pandemic. I guarantee it. When I look at the marketing and all the stuff that they're again, the Little Caesars calzone. I'm telling you, man, this is the kind of marketing that if they focus and put it behind all these movies, it's going to be successful. Well, it's what they want to be successful. You can tell that Warner Brothers is putting all their chips on this. And whereas the Flash movie, they don't really care if it succeeds or fails. It's just a gimmick movie, whatever. But Batman is their crown jewel. It's
that's their baby.
It's got to work. It's got to work. It cannot fail. They cannot afford for it to fail. And this is why you're seeing a Batman calzones. This is why you're seeing Batman on every single on paper towels and bathroom cleaner and everything.
Batman's their golden child. He always has been. But I mean, also too, I think it also just speaks to the fact that they actually care about this movie and actually, they're confident in it. They know that Matt Reeves made something special, so you market the hell out of it. And I mean, I guess you could argue maybe they don't want to market Flash to confuse people because it's gonna have multiple Batman too. But even that's like, audiences aren't dumb. They know the difference. They know the difference.
What's up, Kate? What's up, Kate and Reed in the chat? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Yeah, I agree, man. You can tell that they just totally want this movie to be their biggest movie ever. The marketing, and this is the thing, it hasn't stopped. The marketing is going to be huge. You go into any grocery store, you're going to see Batman. You're going to see Batman Valentine.
I see TV spots for the movie every single time I watch wrestling. I see
anything.
I've seen posters. I've seen like Little Caesars everywhere. I see Little Caesars ads all the time. And don't underestimate the value of Little Caesars. I know it's not like the best pizza in the world, but it's one of the biggest brands out there.
Listen, I can't find a Little Caesars near me. I stay in Illinois, and I can't find a Little Caesars near me that's going to deliver pizza. So I would have to go. I think like the closest Little Caesars to me is like an hour and a half out or something. So I would have to I'd have to go pretty far.
The one for me, it's like 5 minutes down the street. Like I literally live right
you're
next
so
to one,
lucky. So okay, then let's address the elephant in the room then and ask the real question, RJ. Have you tried the Batman calzone?
I have. I have a picture of it.
Oh my God. Tell me now. Tell me now. Is it as good as it looks? Because honestly, dude, it looks delicious.
It's basically a pepperoni pizza mixed with the calzone part. It's pretty good.
Well, I
Pretty
like
good.
calzones, so I'm just,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So is it something now? Is it something that you'll get again? Is it something that
Yeah, no,
you'll
I would probably get it again. My one complaint though, my Little Caesars, they're supposed to give you posters, but I have yet to get one of the posters
Oh
that comes with the movie.
no. Well, did you keep the box? I know there are some people out there that said they're keeping the box as a collector's
Yeah,
item. I'm like, wow.
yeah, I might keep the box. I gotta disinfect it and stuff,
Got
but I'll
disinfect it
keep
and
it. Yeah,
take the bottom part out where the calzone is. Yeah, but it's
yeah,
but those types of promotions are a big part. And again,
yeah. I
think
remember
about it:
Justice League having that. Yeah.
action figures, and plush dolls. I mean, marketing. We're talking about marketing bonanza at this point. When this is what happens when a big movie studio puts all their guns behind one egg. This is what you get. I mean, they're I bet you they're betting everything, like they're betting their whole studio on this movie. So it better not
Oh no,
disappoint.
yeah, definitely, it's part of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I mean, yeah, like I said, they're confident in the movie. I hope it's good. I mean, it's my most anticipated movie of the year. Um, I a lot of expectations for it, admittedly, but I'm confident. I like what I'm seeing thus far. I really, really am.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad for you, and I'm glad for all of the people. So let me say that I'm glad for everybody who's excited for this movie. I definitely will see the movie because, again, I'm not going to speak negatively about it anymore unless I see it and then I don't like it and can form my own opinion. But I'm definitely curious, and I definitely want to see it, and I'm definitely excited for all the people who are excited. And to be honest with you, the one thing that I do get a little bit excited about is whenever I see a studio throw their full weight behind something.
Mm.
This is exactly the reason why I say they did not want the Snyder Cut to be successful, because if they really wanted to think of how good the Snyder Cut did without WB doing anything. The movie that is flying off the shelves, people love the film, right? So if WB would have thrown their weight behind it the way they're doing here, with like Snyder Cut calzones and all kinds of things, it would have been an even bigger juggernaut than what it actually turned out to be. So for me, it just goes to show, the hypocrisy on the side of the studio. But that's just an observation based on what I'm seeing now. I mean, I
No,
honestly,
and I totally come from with that. Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I wish they would give this kind of care to every movie that they have, especially when it comes to DC.
they can afford to. They can afford to, and that's
if
the
they
problem.
really wanted to, they could. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, like I said, I understand where those complaints come in. Absolutely. So.
And Film Gob makes a good point here. He says, I honestly hope when we get a Dune director's cut, I'm with you, brother. I want that Dune director's cut so bad because from what I heard, the Dune director's cut is 6 hours. I want it. I'm a fan. I want to see it. I want to see it in all its glory. I want all the scenes from the book, from part 1 of the book. I think it'd be amazing. And I'm actually pretty hyped that they're going to do a second Dune movie. What do you think about Dune? What's your take?
Oh, I'd love Dune. I thought
Awesome.
it was extraordinary. I thought it was one of my favorite movies of the year, bar
But
none.
I could tell it was meddled with, though. That was my problem. I could tell it was, because you don't take a movie that's like 6 hours length and cut it down to what, 2.5? I mean,
yeah. I mean, for me, like I was so absorbed in it personally that I didn't have an issue with it. I mean, I would have liked to see a longer version. Sure, I'm down for that.
I guess I did. I guess the reason I had an issue with it, though, RJ, was because I'm such a big fan of the book. I think because I like the book, the series of books that exist for Dune, that I kind of wanted more. I'm going to use Lord of the Rings as an example here, because Peter Jackson is a master. You watch those extended versions of the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies, and you are getting those books. It's as good as if you just read all the books, because you're talking hours and hours of content.
Yeah.
And it's ironic because it's the same movie studio. All of these properties we're talking about are WB, so it's a little bit like it's hard to reconcile it all, you know? I mean, on the flip side, I feel like Disney Plus is knocking it out of the park with all their TV shows. I mean,
yeah. I mean, they're doing. I mean, they just jumped like another 12 million subs, so they're doing pretty decently, man.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I you know, regardless of what you think of the Book of Boba Fett finale, I will admit I was a little disappointed myself, but overall, I thought Book of Boba Fett was pretty good. But you know, the finale kind of left me a little bit jarred, but I kind of feel like they're going for something with Book of Boba Fett. They're gonna
you can tell it's part of a larger narrative,
right? Yeah. Right. What did you think of the Book of Boba Fett finale?
The finale itself I thought was okay. Okay. I'll be honest, it was just fine for me. I think as a show, I think sadly it was kind of all over the place. Like just from a storytelling perspective, I think it's had a case of where I think it was a little confused about what it wanted to be in many regards, and you could tell, which was a little disappointing. I mean, the good stuff was really good in the show, but some of the stuff was just really mediocre, sadly. I'm hoping that, because I trust Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they still haven't completely let me down.
They're good.
They're really. I think this is just a small bump in the road.
They know Star Wars. Star Wars. They're good. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you my hot take and what I think is gonna happen. I think the reason, and this is just the reason why the finale turned out that way, and for example, why Grogu went with the Mandalorian at the end, spoilers, instead of going with Luke Skywalker and becoming his first student for the Academy, is because I think Djarin, the Mandalorian, is going to die at the end of this next season. There's going to be a fight. He's going to die at the end. Grogu is going to try to save him and isn't going to be able to. And then Grogu is going to go to Luke and become his student. That's what I think.
Really?
You
think he's die?
That's my belief. I think the Mandalorian is going to die, and it's going to shock everybody. But I think it's going to create a stronger arc for Grogu, and it is going to lead into Luke Skywalker's Jedi Academy series that it's rumored that they're going to do. That's my take on it. That's why I feel like the finale ended the way it did. Because everybody was speculating, oh, Grogu's going to go with Luke. Grogu's going to stay with Luke. I didn't think they were. That was one thing I didn't think they were going to do, because I think there's a whole lot of story to tell. And what people don't realize is, remember, these stories all have to lead into the future that we already know exists.
Well, yeah, so they fit inside that 30-year time gap.
So you have to have a lot of things. And technically, this could be considered, with Grogu choosing to go with the Mandalorian instead of staying with Luke, this could be considered Luke Skywalker's first failure as a Jedi Master, essentially. So it starts, it's starting the trend of eventually getting us to where we were later on in the Star Wars future. So I don't think that Grogu is done with Luke, and I don't think that I just think there's a bigger story there, and I think that Mandalorian is going to die in the end. I do.
The only thing I would say about that, though, is that would Disney really leave him with Luke, though? Because the only thing that throws a wrinkle in that is that we know what happens to Luke in this Jedi Temple.
Eventually, but that's what's going to make it even more tragic. You see, you have to tell a tragic story to be able to get Luke to the point where he was in The Last Jedi. If it's all rainbows and Jedi Knights,
but my thing is,
Luke never gets to that point.
But would you really kill off Grogu, though? Would they really let him die?
I
Because
don't think that
he's too popular.
I don't think they're going to kill off Grogu, at least not yet. I think Grogu's going to live for a while. I think it's going to be Mandalorian who dies.
Oh, so you don't think Grogu will die at Luke's Jedi Temple? Think he'll
No,
get away
I
before
think
that?
I think Grogu will somehow get away and will be used in a lot of future storylines. I think it's going to be a twist. He's going to somehow get away, just like remember how Grogu survived the purge of Order 66.
Yeah, that would make sense.
This is where I'm going. It's like a tragic, it's like a big tragedy, a Greek tragedy that they're going to eventually lead to. It's going to be a big story. It's going to be huge. But that's why I say I don't count it out. While I was disappointed with Book of Boba Fett's finale, I think it's just part of a much larger story that they're going to tell. I don't think we've seen the last. I don't think it's the end. And again, if they really do a Luke Skywalker Jedi Academy story, they're going to need material. They're going to need stuff that they're going to use.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if they did do a Luke Skywalker show. I think it's just a natural thing.
Yeah, it's inevitable. Look at how good Luke Skywalker looked in these episodes. Didn't he look great? Like, they did a wonderful job. Like,
it was mind blowing.
It wasn't perfect, but I will tell you this. It really was, like, when you look at that, you're like, okay, yeah, that's Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker. That looks pretty good. Like, they did.
I mean, in Book of Boba Fett, Luke looked almost pitch perfect. Honestly, it was like really damn close to perfect. So
yeah, and I don't know anybody who watched those episodes as a Star Wars fan and thought, oh, they screwed it up. No, those episodes were good, but I admit that, it kind of makes the Book of Boba Fett kind of feel like it has an identity crisis because it was kind of all over.
Yeah, it was kind of a bit disjointed. They're good episodes. Episodes 5 and 6
They're
were
good
really
Star
good,
Wars episodes.
But how does it fit into the Boba Fett story?
What's going to happen with Boba Fett? And because the ending, the ending scene where you see the gunslinger in the tank.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of felt like I wish that it was more impactful, because him living or dying, that means they obviously have more story to tell with that character. And I don't think we've seen the last of Cad Bane either. I don't think Cad Bane is dead.
Oh, you don't think he's dead?
No, I think he
got stabbed though, man.
He got stabbed, but remember when he got stabbed, there was the blinking sound, the blinking that went off.
Lights.
Oh my God, man, that sent a message to somebody. He's gonna get rebuilt or resurrected somehow. I just don't think he's too much of a badass character for them to just use so quickly.
I would be totally fine if they brought him back.
Oh, I guarantee it. I'm almost positive. I'd almost be willing to bet money they're going to bring it back. That's how confident I am. It just feels right. And I'm like, so I'm thinking about it. So like I say, while I was disappointed with the finale, I just kind of took it as, it's part of a larger story. So I'm not gonna judge it too harshly, because all in all, the one thing that we can say about all this Star Wars content is it's been super entertaining. It really has.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. Let's see here. It's crazy how people still prefer the Joss Whedon cut over Zack Snyder's Justice League. You know what's funny about that? I don't think anybody prefers Joss Whedon's cut. I think the people that say they prefer Joss Whedon's cut are just trying to stir the pot. Because I don't know how you can even be a fan of. I don't know.
Those people do exist. I will never understand them, but yeah, I know one of them actually. I know someone who actually prefers the Joss Whedon
who actually legitimately loves the Joss Whedon cut.
Yeah, legitimately, yes. I know.
That's funny. Like, I like that. Now that would be somebody that it would be fun to talk to get their perspective as to why they feel that way. Like, what is it? Because like I'm talking about it from a film. I mean, I went to film school for a semester. Okay, and I would think the Joss Whedon's cut of Justice League would be a movie now that they would show in film school and they would show for students not to do. Like the movie has so many mistakes, has so many issues, has so many things that just never should have got the movie to print in the first place. I don't know how you can like it that much. That's I can see how people could like certain scenes or people can like certain aspects of it, but to prefer it over the clearly superior film that was well made and actually is like a film and actually tells a legitimate story. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
it's wild to
confused.
me. It's wild to me.
That is wild. That's really wild. Oh my goodness. So what? So okay, you talked about your most anticipated. You said the Batman, which is a DC.
Mhm.
What about for Marvel? What are you looking forward to most for Marvel?
From movies, I think obviously Doctor Strange, in the Multiverse of Madness. I
That's
think
going to
that.
be
I mean,
great.
I
That's
mean,
going to be
it's
great.
Sam Raimi coming back to do another superhero movie after the Spider-Man trilogy. That alone should excite anybody who's a fan of the genre. I mean, that movie. I mean, it's literally called Multiverse of Madness. It's going to be insane. It's going to make, honestly, Doctor Strange 2 might make No Way Home look like child's play. Just in terms of like how bonkers you can get with the multiverse
Are you
stuff, you know?
are you expecting to see various versions of Marvel characters throughout the multiverse depicted? Like, are you expecting to see, like, for example, like the 1990s Captain America pop up on screen? Are you expecting to see characters from other eras in Marvel movie history that are not necessarily part of the MCU as we know it through the multiverse
Not
of madness?
exactly, no. I'm not expecting it to go that deep. You know how, so basically, No Way Home was a celebration of Sony's history of Marvel. I think Doctor Strange 2 will be a celebration of Fox's history of Marvel. I think it's going to be very much a throwback to like the classic X-Men movies,
Okay.
the
Okay.
Fantastic Four movies, that kind of stuff. There could be some deep cut cameos like that. I'm just not expecting that, to be honest. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Are you looking forward to Disney reviving X-Men 97 as an animated
oh,
series?
yes, dude, absolutely. I can't wait for that. It's gonna be
I
amazing.
love that series. I love the original X-Men series. I cannot wait. And the rumors are that the series is picking up right where the original left off.
Yeah, that's gonna be really exciting.
I mean, you talk about dope. If you were ever a fan of that X-Men animated series, I mean, and I hope they're bringing all the same voice actors back. I hope that it's going to be like a seamless continuation. Oh my goodness. Hand drawn animation. I mean, doesn't get any better. It really, I mean, to me, that's fantastic. And I never got to ask you what your thoughts were on What If. So I'm going to ask you right now. What'd you think of What If?
It was okay. I think that I enjoyed some episodes. I mean, that's kind of the problem with an anthology show.
Yeah.
Some stories are gonna connect with you, some stories aren't. I think the problem I had with that, I think some episodes were really interesting and good. Other ones were kind of just like I felt like they were really big missed opportunities. Um, the zombies episode especially left me disappointed because I think it was just tonally so inconsistent. It's like 1 minute it's really scary, 1 minute it's like super funny, it's trying to be comedic, it's like it doesn't really know what it wants to be. Some episodes were fantastic. I really liked the Star Lord T'Challa episode. I love the Doctor Strange Supreme episode. That one was fantastic.
Yeah, part of me is thinking that Multiverse of Madness is going to take some inspiration from that episode.
Oh no, absolutely. I wouldn't be shocked to see. I would not be surprised if like a bunch of those characters from What If popped up in that movie. To be
Oh
honest, I could
yeah.
see characters from that
Oh
popping
yeah.
up.
I liked What If quite a bit because to me it reminded me a lot of the old like Twilight Zone and Outer Limits episodes I grew up watching on TV. I think I've always been a fan of anthology series and like What If storylines because when people complain about What If I storylines, I get confused because I say to myself, well, it's What If. The whole purpose of it is to be able to tell a story that's completely different from anything that you've seen before. So it doesn't follow any kind of canon or any kind of established continuity. You just go with it as as something entirely new. So that was one of the things I really liked about What If, because I didn't know what I was going to get from week to week. They just kind of would throw these stories out there and would leave you to make your own conclusions.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great, there's a lot of great stuff to be excited about. But man, RJ, I personally couldn't be happier, man. I'm looking forward to all this great stuff. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I mean, like I said, it's a big year for a lot of entertainment property. I mean, Marvel has a lot of stuff coming out. You got DC, for better or for worse. You hope for the best. I'm excited for at least 3 of the movies coming out.
I'm actually more excited for Batgirl than I am the Batman, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I think Batgirl,
I'm interested.
I think Batgirl has potential. I kind of want to see what they're going to do, and because Batgirl really hasn't been a character that they've paid a lot of attention to.
It's basically a brand new character, right? I
mean, it comes off as a brand new character. So I'm interested. It piques my interest because, again, it's something we really haven't seen before. So so I'm looking forward to it. It's not like, we had Batwoman, we had on CW, and CW is in a class by itself as far as mediocrity. But when you look at what they're doing with this Batgirl, it might actually be a pretty good movie. I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to it, and I hope it's good. And I like you, man. I'm wishing for the best, and I'm hoping that all of these movies are good and successful.
I think Black Adam's going to be legit.
And that's another one too. Black Adam is actually my most anticipated DC film right now. I think it's going to be good. I think that movie was in development for far too long to be a bad movie. If it's a bad, it can't come out now and be a bad movie. If it comes out now,
how long have we been waiting for that movie? Since
since 2008.
Because wasn't The Rock 2009?
I like to joke around and say I think The Rock was still Rocky Maivia in WWF when he was cast as for Black Adam. it's and we know he hasn't been Rocky Maivia for a long time. So that's and Film Goblin says, I'm also skipping out on Morbius because it's not R-rated. Sony keeps pushing back release dates, and Venom 2 sucked. I don't know what to make of Morbius. I want Morbius to be R-rated. I really do.
You want me to be honest? I don't think Morbius is a real movie. I think it's a giant, elaborate April Fool's Day joke by Sony. It's not a real movie. It's just a money laundering scheme for taxes. Because that movie's been delayed so many times.
That's a great. Oh my god, that's a great. That's a great theory that you just came out with. Now, if I would have came out with the same theory, some mutuals that we know would have went on and called me a conspiracy theorist and threw all kinds of stuff at me.
Right.
But that's a fantastic theory. I love that, man.
Yeah, I am just joking around because
I know, but it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Because we're just like,
it's like,
it's kind of like
it doesn't feel like a real movie.
It kind of like has that's because it has connections to the Amico.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
the poor Amico.
There's a lot of theories about the Amico, which is one of the theories that's being perpetuated by a big YouTuber by the name of Mad Little Pixel is that the Amico is never going to come out.
That it's
a dead end. It's never going to happen.
Yeah,
I don't know if I believe that. I think there was too much invested in it for it not to come out. But I understand if the company has run out of money, that it's possible that it may not come out. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm holding out hope.
I'm holding out hope. Yeah.
I'm holding out hope for the success of it because I think, I think Tommy's a good guy and he's got, and he's got a lot of passion, but I don't know what to think at this point. I'm kind of thrown off because it's been a while. It's like you said with Morbius, it's just delayed. It's what can you do? And Darkness Under the Wind says, I'm still hyped for the Batman. What's up, Endless One Up? Good to see you. What's up, Corey? Good to see you. Corey says, what's up, Zod? Watched the new Spider-Man movie recently, and their punch at DC and Flashpoint hit hard. Hopeful that Flashpoint surprises us and restores the Snyderverse, gives the fans what they want.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, you know what that's in reference to, right? What No Way Home did?
With Flashpoint?
Flash Thompson's book. It's like Flashpoint.
I thought that was great. I thought that was great. I actually audibly laughed when I saw that scene because it was like, yeah, it actually is pretty funny, and it's a nice shot to take at DC, considering how much development hell the Flash has been in over time. So that's another pretty good one. Let's see. Oh, did Galadriel fight back in armor back in the day? Though she did, she would have died in the battle of something. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the series. She's definitely not dead in the series. Zod, what's up? What's up? Yeah. So I appreciate everybody being here for this. This has really been a lot of fun, but I think RJ and I are going to cut this short because RJ and I got to get ready for another stream we're about to jump on pretty soon. So I want to go ahead and give respect to that. RJ, I want to thank you for coming on here, man. You are welcome back anytime. Please plug your channel and tell us what's next for you.
Yeah, if you want to follow me and what I do, it's at ResonantJustice on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, all that good stuff. That's at ResonantJustice. Pretty easy to find. All my stuff's right there. So if you want to know how to spell it. As for what I'm doing next, I'm not really for sure, actually. I might be doing a Lord of the Rings versus Star Wars debate stream with Hans. I might be doing I know I want to do some more doing like reviews of like the Batman movies on the channel before the new one comes out. Might be doing more of that. I'm constantly in flux, I'll be honest. It's constantly in flux, but there's some cool stuff coming out.
That's a good problem to have, being constantly in flux. I'm with you, man. That's a great problem to have. It's always good to be busy and to have the content flowing, and as a content creator, it doesn't get any better. Man, I'm telling you, dude, I want to thank you so much for being here. It was great to get a chance to actually sit down and talk to you. My last question for you is, where'd you come up with the name Resonant Justice? A lot of people, always ask me how I came up with, ZodWriter. So I'm going to do the same here with you. How did you come up with the name Resonant Justice?
It's funny that you asked that. It was just super random. I made a new Twitter account, and I was like, I don't know what I want the username to be. I was watching an anime called Jujutsu Kaisen, and one of the special moves that one of the characters has is called like Resonance and something else. I think there's like a justice thing in there too. I'm just like, and Resonance was taken, so I said Resonant, and it just worked out that way. It was just it's not like a special story. I'm like, oh, I thought of this idea for months on end, the perfect name, but it was funny. It just kind of worked out that way. It's just like username you come up with is kind of stuck around, and that's what just everyone kind of just figured out,
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you again, man. Thanks for telling that story. Thank you for being here, man. You are a great guest. You're a good friend. I appreciate you coming on here. And this was episode 43 of Late Night Q&A with ZodWriter. And next week on Late Night Q&A with ZodWriter, the long-awaited meeting between Tyler Roberts from Pop Culture Corner and ZodWriter is about to happen. That's right, folks.
Oh, wow.
Pop Culture Corner, the channel that labeled ZodWriter in one of their combating hate videos, is going to be here with me next week. So you're not going to want to miss that.
That's going to be a big episode.
That's going to be a big episode. That's going to be a lot of fun. Ty and I have been talking behind the scenes. It's going to be nice. It's going to be good and cool, and it's going to be all about positivity, ladies and gentlemen. That's what this late night Q&A is about. It's about positivity and finding common ground, even with people that you may disagree with. And with that, I'll see you next time. Make sure you tune in here tomorrow evening when Ashley and I do another episode of Weekly Comic Book Movies, as Ashley the Widow and I are going to be talking about the movie Batman Begins, and we're going to be breaking it down from the perspective of comic book readers. So be here for that tomorrow, and see you next time. Good night, everybody. Oh, and what I forget, RJ, you and I are about to jump on another stream coming up.
Yeah.
With the great Rhea talking about none other than the Lord of the Rings TV show from Amazon. So
yeah, it's gonna be great.
Tune in to Rhea's channel for the Glimmercast and check that out. I promise, guys, that's the last plug. Good night, everybody. Well, see you in the next stream.